and welcome to week 2 of our journey in the world of data. In the last class, we actually studied the definition of data analysis, the importance of data analysis, sectors where we can apply data analysis, and all like that. This week, we'll be going into data types, collection of data, then tools in data analysis. Let's have it. Okay, for this week, basically, we'll be studying data types in data analysis. I told us in the last class that we'll actually understand what data types are this week. Then we'll get it to know the methods of data collection, common data collection tools, data type and data format, data sets, then tools in data analysis. So let's go into the major thing. But note this before we go. This week we'll still be doing a little bit of understanding of what we need to know. But trust me, after this week, we are going to go into deep aspects of practicals of the tools which we'll be using. Okay. Now let's quickly go into what we have for this class. That is data types in data analysis. Don't forget that in the last class, we got a full understanding of what data analysis is, the types of data analysis, and we said that data analysis basically is a process from cleaning to organizing, transforming, then bringing into interpretation, then the ability to communicate your desired results. Don't forget that for every data analysis there should be an aim, so that you will not analyze and miss. Now we want to understand types of data, because I've seen data analysis. Now let's understand types of data, because as we journey through the world of data, basically we need to understand data itself. Now we have various types. We have structured data, we have unstructured data, we have qualitative data, we have quantitative data. Now I would go briefly on the definitions. Basically, now a structured data is a data that had been stored in a relational database or a spreadsheet. I'll be showing us what a spreadsheet look like when we go into the tools. What a spreadsheet look like, Excel, Google Sheets, like that, you get. So now when a data has been stored in that format by someone before in the past, it is called a structured data. So you don't need to go and collect it again. It has been stored in Excel and Google Sheet. I'll be talking to us about formats because we have CSV. We have, as we go into the journey of data, we understand better. Now, unstructured data are the ones that are not predefined. They use traditional tools, basically. For example, like emails, social media posts, and videos. They are unstructured data. They are not generally stored into spreadsheets. Yeah, we get to understand that one better. We have qualitative data. Qualitative data actually means a descriptive, non-numerical, and often subjective. Example includes customer feedback, interview transcripts. As we go into data, we get more understanding of that. Then we have quantitative data, where quantitative data is a data where it's basically numerical and measurable. Example includes sales revenue, age, product weight, like that. Don't worry, as we move on, we get more understanding of this data. Okay, after that has been done, we need to understand methods of collecting data. We now have understanding of the type of data we have, the structured one, unstructured, qualitative, quantitative. We need to understand how these data are being collected. The first one we have here is primary data collection. Primary data collection. This is a type of data collection where it basically fresh. It's a first-hand data collected by researchers. For example, you might want to actually, as we are going into this journey, you will be analyzing some data. Now, those data might be data that are not stored, that basically they are not structured. Basically, they are not put in Excel. You'll be the one to carry out those research. Most of the time, these are done by researchers, are done by academicians, whereby they take surveys and experiment and interview. So with that, basically, they now convert it into a spreadsheet, a structured data. So basically, as I said, examples include survey, structured questionnaire using of Google form. Then it can be physical or online. Then we have interview, one-on-one discussion. We have experiments. Some people actually carry out experiments, and then they have their results. So it is their results basically they can use probably if they want to do a statistical analysis, you understand, or they want to check hypothesis testing and all like that, or they want to check observations of what they have done. But these things are basically new. They are just collecting the data themselves. That's one. The other one is secondary data collection. Secondary data collection are data that are collected by others. They can basically be used by researchers too, and then can be used by individuals. For example, we have people that have actually collected some data and then they have it published online. They have them published online. So sometimes like that, there are some data like that. You don't need to actually go for interviews. You don't need to actually go for surveys. What you just need is you go online and fetch those data. Although there are some data like that are restricted, you can't get them unless you have license to get them. And then there are some data like that are published online, like you can actually use it. Even without that, we have data sites. I'll be talking about those ones too, like Cargo, that you can actually get your data that are related to the analysis that you are doing. Yeah, examples include research papers, government reports, corporate financial statements, market research reports. Don't worry, as we dive into the world of data, you will understand better. Okay, now we'll be going into common data collection tools. Basically, getting the understanding of collection of data, primary or secondary, we have to understand the tools so that when we actually dive into analysis, we can actually know, okay, fine, we are using this for this, we are using this for this. But don't forget this, that when you are getting your data, your aim and objective will determine the kind of data you fetch. At some point when we start diving into analysis, basically you found out that you might not actually get all your full data in your data set. There's something we call calculated data. I think I mentioned it in the last class. Calculated values, calculated. So you get to understand this one. So sometimes it's not every of your data will be given in your data set. No. Some you have to get 2 or 3 journals, 3, 4, 5 journals, then combine them, fetch the data needed. When we start analyzing, you understand. So don't just think, okay, fine, if the data set is coming and I want to download this, I must have everything. No, it doesn't work that way. Sometimes you might actually have a data and that has a row and column different variables, and then what you actually need is in another data set, basically. So what you do is you get data set from various sources, even if it's recorded, if it's published, you get data from various sources, then you combine them. There's a way, it's called joining. There's a way, I'll teach us that when we get to the aspect of joining in data set. So not that, okay, fine, this is the data set that is stored, I've collected this, then you're saying, okay, you are streamlined. No, I told us before that in data analysis we solve problem. What we do is that when we get the data, even if the data is not complete, we fetch them, you get them online, or you improvise by getting to research and all like that. So as we go into the world of data, deeper things we'll discuss. Now let's quickly run through this one. Common data collection tools. We have to understand all these tools so that our analysis will be very easy. I know most of us like that, we might actually be some might be working as a data analyst in some companies where you don't basically need to fetch too much data. Like they will give you a database. So we'll talk about all this one. So now the first one is a spreadsheet. I'll be showing us how a spreadsheet look like when we actually get into the tools we are using. Now spreadsheets has rows and column. An example includes Excel and Google Sheets. That's Excel also means Microsoft Excel. So it's the same to say Excel and Google Sheets. They actually look alike. They actually do the same thing, but a little slight differences. But if you understand Excel, basically you can actually understand Google Sheet. If you understand Google Sheet, you actually understand Excel. Other thing you need is just application, but the two are the same. Now to collect data on these two, we have to enter, organize, sort and analyze structured data. Now you can actually enter the data yourself, you can organize the sorts, and then analyze data on Google Sheets and Excel. Let me say this too: when you are collecting data and it's on the spreadsheet, that does not mean all structured data are clean. So we will get to that too. We have survey tools. These are used by researchers, and it is used for collecting large data set for primary data. For example, Google Forms, SurveyMonkey. Now Google Forms basically are those like questionnaires, just like physical hard copy of a questionnaire or online questionnaires basically. Then we have databases. Databases are like a place, an online section where data are stored, not hard copy. They are basically online, like it's stored. Basically, this one are used by companies, banks, finance institute, finance institute, and many more like that. Databases. What they do is that when they get the data, they get different data like that in their data. They now store them. E.g., we have SQL and Access. SQL means structured query language. SQL, some people call it SQL actually. When we get to that, we actually understand. So what they do is that they store them because basically they are large and they are structured data anyways. They are large, they are big. So what they do is that when you need any part of the data for the analysis, they fetch it. There is something we call query. You query it, you bring it out. After querying it, you just what you need in the database. What you need, okay, I need the customer ID and I need the amount of money spent on each goods they bought. You get. So what they do is that you query it out, you bring it out, then the one you don't need, you leave it. So you don't have access to edit the data at all, not too much at all. You don't have access to it. You just query what you need, you bring it out. After bringing it out, you analyze anything you need. When you are done, you communicate your aim and objective out with recommendations and conclusion. So the data is being stored. You cannot see everything because most of the time the data is so large. Then the other one, we have text editors, where we have MS Word, Notepad. These are basically used to collect unstructured or qualitative data.